जमुना तीरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय 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 राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय श्री राधा गिरधारी भगवान की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय। श्री गिरी गोवर्धन की जय। श्री निताय गौरचंद्र भगवान की जय। जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the lotus feet of Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Gurudev ki jai. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Mahavishnu Goswaminiti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaurvani Pachayani Visheshwari Bhashvacharya Starine. Hare Krishna. So, we are continuing today with the discussion of Canto 3, Chapter 33, the activities of Kapila Dev, Kapila Muni. And we are now on the verse number 16 and 17. So there are two verses. This verse they have written is 16, which is only translation. 17 has got translation and purport. So we'll discuss on both of these, mainly the 17. Payaha Phena Nibhaha Shayya Danta Rukma Parichhadaha Asanani Cha Haimani Suspar Shastranani Cha पयः फेन नभाः शय्या दान्ता रुक्म परिच्छदाः आसनानि च हिमानि सुस्पर्शास्त्रणानि च पयः फेन निभाः शय्या दान्ता रुक्म परिच्छदाः आसनानि च हिमानि सुस्पर्शास्त्रणानि च पयः फेन निभाः शय्या दान्ता रुक्म परिच्छदाः आसनानि च हैमानि सुस्पर्शास्तरणानि च पयः of milk. Sorry, would you like to recite? Would you like to recite this verse? Would you like to recite? Yes, please. Okay. Sorry, would you like to recite the verse? Yeah. पयः फेन निभाः शय्या दान्ता रुक्म परिच्छदाः आसनानि च हैमानि सुस्पर्शास्तरणानि च पयः of milk phena the foam nibhaha resembling shayyaha beds dantaha made of ivory rukma golden parichhadaha with covers asanani chairs and benches cha and haimani made of gold su sparsha soft to the touch as taranani cushions cha end. So of milk the foam resembling beds made of ivory golden with covers chairs and benches and made of gold soft to touch cushions and. Say word to word synonyms, translations and purpose by Jagatguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The opulence of the household of Kardama Muni is described herein. The bed sheets and mattresses were all as white as the foam of milk. The chairs and benches were made of ivory and were covered by cloths of lace with golden filigree. And the couches were made of gold and had very soft pillows. Now we come to the next verse. I'll just recite the verse very quickly. Swachha sphatika kudyeshu mahamarakateshu cha ratna pradipa abhanti ललनारत्न समू संयुताः स्वच्छ pure स्फटिका marble kudyeshu on the walls mahamarkateshu decorated with valuable emeralds cha end ratna pradipaha jewel lamps abhanti shine lalanaha women ratna with jewelry samyutaha decorated. So pure marble on the walls decorated with valuable emeralds and jewel lamps shine, women with jewelry decorated. Translation: the walls of the house were made of first-class marble, decorated with valuable jewels. There was no need of light, for the household was illuminated by the rays of these jewels. The female members of the household were all amply decorated with jewelry. Purport: it is understood from this statement that the opulences of household life were exhibited in valuable jewels, ivory, first-class marble, and furniture made of gold and jewels. The cloths are also mentioned as being decorated with golden filigree. Everything actually had some value. It was not like the furniture of the present day, which is cast in valueless plastic or baseless metal. The way of Vedic civilization is that whatever was used in household affairs had to be valuable. In case of need, such items of value could be exchanged immediately. Thus, once broken and unwanted furniture and paraphernalia would never be without value. This system is still followed by Indians in household affairs. They keep metal utensils and golden ornaments or silver plates and valuable silk garments with gold embroidery. And in case of need, they can have some money in exchange immediately. There are exchanges for the money lenders and the householders. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroho Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrushabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं दैवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रीमद् भगवत गीता की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। So, here in the activities of Kapila Muni, the chapter, the description of Lord Kapila's household is mentioned, where such opulences are mentioned. It is said, the opulence of the household of Kardama Muni is described herein. The bed sheets and mattresses were all as white as the foam of milk. The chairs and benches were made of ivory and were covered by cloths of lace with golden filigree. And the couches were made of gold and had very soft pillows. The walls of the house were made of first-class marble, decorated with valuable jewels. There was no need of light, for the household was illuminated by the rays of these jewels. The female members of the household were all amply decorated with jewelry. So these two verses signifies the opulence of Kapila Dev and how he lived. Actually, he did not live this very rich and wealthy life. As you would remember last year when we were discussing, before the marriage of Kapila Dev, Kardama Muni lived as in a small hermitage. In fact, it was a hut made up of thatched roof of straws and wood. And by his meditation, in his devotion, he performed great austerity to please Lord Vishnu. And Lord Vishnu, being satisfied by his performance of austerity, appeared in front of him. And Lord Vishnu was so touched by his austerity, penance and devotion towards him, that the Lord actually cried. And where he cried, it became a lake. It is even today existing, called Bindu Sarovar, which we have discussed in length many times. This Bindu Sarovar is in the western India, in the state of Gujarat, near a very famous place of Patan, near Rajkot, 238 kilometers from Rajkot, where there is a very beautiful temple of Shri Radha Nila Madhav, ISKCON temple. So, when Lord Vishnu after that asked him, Kardama Muni, what do you want from me? He said, I want a suitable wife who can be of my similar nature. This is very important, that when you are getting married somewhere, or someone is getting married, Either you are getting married or making someone get married. The man and the woman, if their nature sort of meets, it's better. Of course, the modern psychology also says that sometimes they give some opposite natures also. I don't know much about those things. But we know the modern state where marriage doesn't last so long, for various reasons, good and bad. So here, Kardama Muni asked this question and request and prayer to Lord Vishnu to say that please, I want to get married with someone of similar nature and interest. And the Lord said, yes. Lord said, day after tomorrow, not tomorrow, but day after tomorrow, the great monarch, Manu, Swayambhuva Manu, who is the emperor of the whole universe, he will come and approach you for the hand of his daughter, very qualified daughter, Devhuti. And you accept it. At the same time, when this conversation was going on between Kardama Muni and Lord Vishnu, there was another conversation going on where Swayambhuva Manu, looking for a suitable bridegroom for his well-qualified daughter Devhuti, approached Lord Brahma. Now, monarch of the whole universe is a very rich person. Mother Devhuti was very, very, very beautiful. It is stated that when she was playing on the rooftop of a big palace, the palace was like a huge, long, tall building, like skyscraper building. And she was playing on the skyscraper building with a ball. As she was playing with the ball, the airplane which carried people from higher planets, they could see, so it was so high, so tall, this building. They could see the beauty, the beauty of Mother Devhuti playing. And it is said that he actually fell down from his airplane on the ground, just seeing her, how beautiful she is. Now for that beautiful woman, chaste lady, her father, Swayambhuva Manu, approached Lord Brahma, his father, Manu's father, said, please guide me. Who is the best suitable person in this universe whom I can give my daughter in charity? He said, yes, there is one personality. You approach him. His name is Kardama Muni. He is also the Prajapati. So, with that mood, Swayambhuva Manu boarded a chariot along with his very qualified and beautiful wife, and they also took Mother Devhuti, the daughter, with them to meet Kardama Muni. At that time, Kardama Muni was living in a hut in that western part of India. Thatched hut. Imagine, such great monarch, so riches, you cannot count the riches, would give the daughter to a person who was materially a complete pauper. He did not even have a proper house to stay. Unfathomable. How many of us will give our daughters to such kind of devotees? Well, some of us would give, or very elevated. And we should. Now they got married. Before the marriage, Kardama Muni told him, Swayambhuva Manu, that who is the fool in this world, he said, who will reject your daughter's proposal? He said, I will certainly get married. He said, but I have one condition. He said that when we will have our first child born. I will leave the household and I'll go to the forest. Just imagine. Nowadays in Kali Yuga, for a husband would want to enjoy the wife and the riches of the wife also throughout his life. But that's not what the Vedic civilization teaches us here. It teaches us detachment also. So Mother Devhuti and Karda Muni married like this. Very beautiful marriage ceremony took place. And thereafter, leaving her with her husband, Swayambhava Manu and his good wife, they left for their abode. And the husband and the wife, Karda Muni, with Mother Devhuti, started to live very peacefully. They were not leading the life of a Gurumedhi, enjoying each other. It is said that Karda Muni used to perform such great austerities every day for several years. And Mother Devhuti, as a chaste wife, supported his activities of devotion, austerity and penance. And as time went by, months and years, she became very frail, very thin. And because they were poor, her sari, her clothes were torn. She didn't complain. She wasn't complaining. She became very weak. Of course, Karda Muni also was very weak because he was meditating, performing austerities for so long in the day. Many hours in the day. As time went by, in this situation, once Mother Devhuti approached Karda Muni and said, "My sisters have got children. If you kindly accept my request, then I also would like to have children." Karda Muni immediately, as a very faithful husband, said, "Yes, I'll satisfy your needs, your request. We will have children." Now just see, this is where the whole thing changes. That poor, poverty-stricken person, and they're living such pitiful life, so-called, materially. He said, "Yes, but for that now, I want you to go into this river Yamuna. Go dip in the river Yamuna. Bathe and come back." So she, Mother Devhuti, approached Yamuna at the banks of their house, not very far away, and she dived into the river. And she was then, as she was in the river, in the water, she was taken by people from other lokas who were living underneath the water. They took her nicely, took care of her beautifully. And as she came out from the water, she was back to her beauty with nicely decorated jewels, beautiful saris, etc. Because you can't have that sex life and enjoyment in that pitiable condition. So Karda Muni knew this. And by his power of penance, he was so powerful. In the Kali Yuga, we display our power by force of our wealth or money, by what we have. We display our power over people who are not powerful. We show off. Here, Karda Muni was so powerful that he had to compress his power, all Shaktis. And when the wife requested, he displayed those Shaktis. So she came out beautifully. And the place where Karda Muni lived turned into beautiful palace. The whole neighborhood, the whole village, whole city was very beautiful. It converted. And all those women, the ladies who took care of Mother Devhuti in the water, they also came as her servants. And then he actually, by his potency, he made that city, whole city, fly. Like we fly from one city to other city by aeroplane. He took the city, and the city flew. It is said that in the Bhagavatam that he made the city fly as he went and wherever he wanted to. So they did not go from one city to other city on earth. They went to different parts of the universe. Mount Meru, the subtle planetary systems, everywhere they went. Most beautiful, beautiful places they went. It said he enjoyed her for many years. Many, many years. He also was very beautiful at the time, became beautiful. And after many, many years of such enjoyment and traveling, he came back again to the place of Bindu Sarovar. And then the child was born, Kapila Dev, the incarnation of Lord Vishnu. As Lord Vishnu had promised him, I will be born as your son. So Karda Muni then circumambulated Kapila Dev as a child, prayed to him. There's a very beautiful dialogue between the two, the prayers. And then he left, as he had promised his monarch, father-in-law, that I will leave now. And he left. And then Kapila Dev instructed Mother Devhuti. That is the point that we discussed in the last few months, the instructions of Lord Kapila Dev. And now these are activities of Kapila Dev. So Karda Muni, when he lived, it is mentioned here that from that small thatched hut, due to his Shaktis, he lived in beautiful palaces, and the opulence was so nice that his bed sheets and mattresses were as white as a foam of milk. The chairs and the benches were made of ivory, covered with cloths with lace of golden filigree. The couches were made of gold and had very soft pillows. The walls with first-class marbles, decorated with valuable jewels, which needed no light. Now there is a very interesting thing. It's mentioned here that the women were made to wear amply decorated with jewelry. And Prabhupada says that even in India now this exists, which is very true. I have experienced myself. Even today it exists. What happens is this, that the ambit of Vedic civilization still exists in India and with Indian culture. And now with devotees also, who are not having Indian culture but have adopted the Vedic culture. There's nothing like Indian culture, it's a Vedic culture, There's nothing Indian culture, it is a wrong concept. So the Vedic culture says that for your day-to-day use also, whatever you need, you buy good quality in such a way that you use it, you get benefit, and after you finish using it, you can sell off and get the money out of it. I remember distinctly His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, Srila Gurudev, would give class on this in Srimad Bhagavatam, and once he said this point, that even your food items which you eat on in the vessels, the steel and plastic are third grade, fourth grade. Best is if you can afford to, you eat it in steel, in silver plates. Gold is the best, but hardly people can afford gold, so silver is the best. Get a silver plate, silver bowl, silver glass, silver spoon, and eat in it. So what happens is this, that this silver goes inside our body, which is very beneficial. And after you have consumed this food for so many years using this, your body is good, and you can give this silver, which increases in the value all the time, as an inheritance to your offsprings. So they carry it. We have it. Even in my family, extended families have given us, and so many of us, this silver and gold utensils, in which we have ourselves eaten. They have had used it and they give it as inheritance. And if there is a need, if sometimes you need, poverty can strike any time. So you can go sell those jewelry, those vessels, and that will give you money also. Double benefit, you see. This is clever Vedic civilization. And Maharaj would say that this silver, the gold that is made, they are natural products whereby all this vanaspati, these trees, leaves, everything when they die, they are compressed on the earth. And with that, after millions of years, diamonds, gold, all these things, they are formed and you can extract it. So the Vedic civilization teaches us not to be greedy, but with what you have got, you invest it properly. Today's day and age, in the Kali Yuga, we want quick money, so we invest in stocks. This is greed, quick money. 10% increase, 20% increase, and always under anxiety, because when there is a recession, which comes every so often, all stocks fall down. That's why Vedic civilization, which is even followed slightly today, they invest in gold, they invest in land. It increases in the value. Rest, everything decreases in the value. So when the child is born, even today, the child is given gifts by parents, extended family members, etc., in the form of lockets of gold, silver, utensils of silver and gold to eat from, and that is still being eaten by the child's child. When he grows up and he has children, they also eat from the same. And the qualities of silver and gold at that time was very nice, no contamination. So if any one of us have this kind of items at home, please use them. Please use them. We don't want to use it for showing our riches. We use it for our own health, because these are very good for health rather than eating in plastic or steel. This is rubbish, total rubbish, aluminium, complete nonsense. Of course, if you can't afford it, it's another thing. Then there is something called kasa, if not silver, but silver is best. So save some money. Instead of putting that money in shares and all those things, buy some land if you can afford to. If you can't, then at least buy some jewelry which your wife or family members, ladies can wear, even gents can wear, and that can be given to the next generation. That can be used for so many purposes, for marriages, festivals, events, so many things. This is how you buy things which are beneficial for tomorrow. Nowadays, when someone's birthday comes, we buy them clothes. Of course, good clothes have to be bought, don't get me wrong. But then you buy things for them, gifts, which are to be thrown away. Even the mobile phones, we think it's an asset. No, throw away after 4 years, 5 years, become outdated. So along with your phones or whatever you buy for your children and for anybody, you buy this kind of items of silver and gold to them so they can use it. And the money that is used is an investment. It remains within the family also. That is clever, you see. This is Vedic civilization. So today, if you can afford it, buy some utensils of expense, give it to your family members. They'll be happily using it. And at the same time, they become assets, because over a period of time, they grow in value. And then, even the gold, when it touches your body, it's got very positive effect. Similarly, when you eat in silver utensils, it's got a very positive effect in the body. It's very easy to polish also, silver. Just take some, when the silver over a period of time grows a bit dark and pale, in 2 minutes you can polish it. Just take some nice toothpaste and just scrub it with the toothpaste and wash it off. It will be glittering. In 2 minutes. You see? This is Vedic way. This is Krishna's way. So there is no greed in it. But if you buy stocks, shares and all those things, you're constantly looking at it going up, coming down, going up, coming down. No greed. There'll be no peace of mind. This is what is mentioned here in Srila Prabhupada's purport. The system in India is still prevailing. Buying valuable silk garments, gold embroidery will always increase in value. So Srimad Bhagavatam teaches us detachment from material things and being attached to Krishna, and how to be detached in such a way that one can become prosperous over a period of time, slowly and steadily. At the same time, he would lead a very healthy life, very peaceful life, so he can spend time studying Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. The whole family is nicely secured in the position that even if there is a recession or something catastrophic situation happens in the life, in the family, and you have to require some money urgently, you can sell your utensil which you have eaten on and get money out of it. Or your saris or golden jewelry. Please, this is a very important instruction. And this instruction, Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj would always insist upon, as Srila Prabhupada has spoken here. And so many people for so many generations have been benefited. Our fathers, grandfathers, those who have these family traditions of Indian and Vedic culture. So why not we follow them in this? And utilize these assets for our own usage. Car is not an asset, car is a liability, it depreciates. Whatever appreciates is an asset. Always remember this. House is not an asset, it depreciates. Land is an asset. Gold is an asset. So like this, invest whenever you can. You got time, you got money. In festivals, in birthdays, invest in land, give to your own family. It becomes your own family tradition and it grows. And this is how one becomes slowly and steadily, with one's service to Krishna, one becomes Shrimant. Shrimant means one whose opulence remains in the service of Krishna. As compared to Dhanavan, means one who is very rich in money, comes and goes. And with that only, when we are satisfied in that position, then we can follow these instructions of Krishna, which he says in the 12th chapter. He says, Yasman no dvijate loko, loka no dvijate chayaha, harsha marsha bhayodvegair, mukto yaha same priyaha, sachame priyaha. Only then we'll be able to follow these instructions of Krishna, where Krishna is saying, he by whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me. And we will not put others into difficulty when we ourselves are not in difficulty. Otherwise, it is guaranteed that when we are in difficulty, we will put others into difficulty. This is the point to be understood. And the next verse, where the Lord Krishna says, Anapekshaha suchir daksha udasino gata vyathaha sarvarambha parityagi yo madbhaktaha same priyaha. The Lord further says, my devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, who is pure, expert. This is how we are expert. You see, we can become expert like this. Who is pure, expert, without cares, free from all pains, and not striving for some result, is very dear to me. If we have got assets which naturally grows in value because of the way the material world is, where inflation keeps on growing, We will not be looking for results every day. If you buy shares, you have to see every day. It's going up, coming down, going up, coming down. Should I buy more? Should I buy less? Should I equate them? Should I buy more shares? Etc. So here Krishna is saying, who is not striving for some result, his devotee. So we should also not strive for results. We must buy assets and keep it and continue our bhajana kriya. With our bhajana kriya, we are dedicating everything to Krishna and we become wealthy too. This is possible. Only then we will be peaceful, we will be very satisfied, and then we will not disturb others because of our own dissatisfaction. This is what I understood from this verse today, from this very important instruction. Would anyone like to say something, please? No? Okay. Thank you very much. Granth-raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Chandra Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hari Krishna. Thank you very much. Hari Bol.